Okay.
I can see me.
Okay.
I was going to say, I can see that red light. I
But is
can't
the
see
red
that
light
one.
on? That red light is on.
Okay.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
Once you got
Nobody
those
panic.
reformatted, we were good to go.
I know.
You're
All
welcome.
right. Welcome back to our podcast, Redeemed. We're all gathered here once again in the studio, just having a wonderful day. We finished up with Moses in our last podcast. Or not
Nope.
Moses, Joseph, excuse me. We're moving on
There
to
you
Moses.
go.
There we go.
Moses.
I'll get them right. Totally different people. Don't get them confused. We finished up with Joseph. We left with the fact that Israel is now, or Jacob brought his entire family over to Egypt. And that, of course, that grew into the nation of Israel.
And now the Israelites are in Egypt.
The Israelites, I guess they were Hebrews, though, at that time. They weren't Israelites yet.
Fair point.
So the Hebrews were in Egypt. And they were growing, and they were multiplying. And as things always do, time progresses, and we have a king now, or a pharaoh, excuse me, that has come to the throne that no longer knows Joseph.
He doesn't care.
Doesn't care.
Doesn't care about Joseph.
Doesn't care at all. So, and what that means is things are going to get very difficult for the Hebrews.
Very fast.
Very fast. Now, I think part of that is God has a plan here because he doesn't want the Hebrews, and this is just me speculating.
Yep.
Okay, this is not anywhere here it says this is what the Lord. No. Okay,
This is what Asa says.
this is me speculating. Okay. My speculation is that the Lord was trying to move the Hebrews from Israel into the promised land. Okay. And so what happened was they became numerous. The Hebrews became numerous.
Yep.
They began to scare the Pharaoh, so much so that he feels like he has to take some measures. And he was scared because they were becoming so numerous that he figured that if there was to be a war, they could unite with their enemies and they'd lose.
Beat us.
Yeah.
Which is a fair point.
Yes, which I can get on board with that.
Yeah.
Now, the way he goes about controlling that is where I begin to have the problem.
Super great.
That's how you create enemies.
Yes.
Strong enemies.
Strong enemies. Because if you hadn't noticed, God's still blessing these people.
Yep.
So I'm not sure these are the people that you want to start oppressing. But he does. And so
Pharaoh didn't care.
So the first thing he does is what's he do? He puts them into slavery. And they had to start building basically everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Harsh labor in brick and mortar with all kinds of work in the fields. And all their harsh labor, the Egyptians worked them ruthlessly. Which, once again, I don't understand. So were they stuck there? Or could they leave if they wanted to?
I don't know. Well, I think once you're a slave, aren't you kind of stuck there then?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
And maybe that's part of the reason why Pharaoh didn't just tell them to leave is because he wanted that labor.
Maybe.
Because they were so numerous, he was accomplishing a lot of things. Yeah. I mean, it says there that he built two store cities.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah, and so he's like, if we keep this slave labor here, I keep them under control, I'm getting a lot of work done.
I'm getting a lot of stuff done real quickly.
Once again, speculation.
Yeah.
Well, it does. It talks about it in the commentary. It asks, why didn't the Israelites revolt? And of course, the answer is we do not know for sure. Though, perhaps they simply did not have the number of people, leadership, weapons, or organization, or willpower necessary to overthrow their captors.
They was weenies.
So, but it also says Exodus made it clear that the Egyptians feared the Israelites would conspire with Egypt's enemies. So,
Just didn't have somebody to stand up and be like,
But then-
why are we doing this?
I mean, at the same time, there had to be somebody in that meeting who was like, hey, maybe if we're worried about them conspiring with the enemies, maybe we don't make them slaves. Maybe we try to make them happy. Keep them on our side.
Yeah.
But he was like, nah, what we're going to do is make them really, really strong.
Yep.
And then we're going to
make them mad.
And then we're going to make them really, really dislike us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that will make them hate. And then in turn, they'll like us. And they won't unite with our enemies. When you really sit back and look at it that way, it's like, maybe not a great plan.
Yeah, maybe not.
Maybe no one just wanted to tell the Pharaoh, like, this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
Like, everybody else was like, this can't work. This is only going to work. This is going to be bad.
Yeah. But it gets worse. So they're put into slavery, but they're still multiplying. Once again, God's blessing these people.
Yep.
And so what happens? He says, well, we need some
Measures.
for population control. There we go. That's
Yep.
what I'm trying to come up with. Population control. So what does he do? He tells the midwives that what? If it's a girl, keep it. If it's a boy, kill it.
Yep.
Seems harsh.
Yeah.
Little excessive.
A little excessive. And what do the midwives do? Of course, they're God-fearing midwives, and so they don't do it.
Correct.
And then when Pharaoh asks them about it, they say, "Well, these Hebrew women were having the babies before we get there."
Yep.
And
Not sure how they're doing it.
yeah, not sure how they're doing it, but they're beating us.
They're so fast.
And so then Pharaoh takes it a step further, and he says that now, if a boy is born, they have to throw it into the Nile. This now
Important to also understand the Nile was infested with crocodiles, as well as the fact that babies can't swim. Just saying. Fun fact.
It was harsh enough by just throwing them in the Nile.
I know.
I don't know if we needed that.
And I'm sure we need that. I mean, I
Fun fact.
understand what you're trying to do.
Listen,
I'm with you.
When you have all the Snapple Cap facts in your brain, you have to throw them out.
I don't think those are always real. I don't always buy those Snapple facts.
Snapple facts aren't real. That's just what you call it. They're Snapple Cap facts.
So this sets the stage for a new person to come onto the scene. And so what do we have? Well, we have this lady has a child. She doesn't want to kill it. She tries to keep it a secret for as long as she can. Kid becomes too noisy. She can't hide it anymore. Which I don't quite understand
Which kids do?
her thinking on this. Okay. I
don't either.
I mean, there's a lot of things I would have done. I'm not sure this would have been my choice. I mean, I guess in a way she's following the rules because she did throw him in the Nile,
Kind of.
but she gave him a boat,
Yeah. A little basket.
a basket.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I mean, I've read this story several times, and I still always is like, what? I mean, obviously God was probably working in the background again. You know what I'm saying? Because he's
For
going to do
sure.
something with this kid.
Yeah.
But it just cracks me up to think that that was her solution to the problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know
The
what her thinking
commentary
was.
speculates.
And it was quite the basket.
I mean, was
Yeah.
she? I mean, and maybe
Coated it with tar and pitch.
she knew it was going to float in front of the palace, you know, or wherever the
well,
lady
that's,
was.
that's what the
Or
commentary's
just in
thinking
front of
here.
Somebody.
Because she put him in a protective basket, however, with the hope that he would be found and saved, and it evidently was no secret where Pharaoh's daughter went to bathe.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
So maybe
there you go.
that's.
I'm trucking there. Okay, so I'm on board with that.
Yep.
All right, and so that's what she does. She puts him in the basket.
Give the
All
kid
of a
a
sudden,
chance.
it's a good plan.
Yeah,
Give the kid a chance.
it's like winning the lottery for him, those kind of odds. But we'll go for it. You know what I'm saying?
You won.
He did.
He did, and he won big time. So she does it. She sends him down the river, and lo and behold, just like the commentary said, the Pharaoh's daughter did see it, took pity on him,
Yep.
and claimed him as her own. Which, once again, just kind of
God at work.
where was Pharaoh in that?
Yeah.
You know, so you hate these Hebrews, but you're gonna let your daughter have that one?
Yep.
I would argue that Pharaoh had no clue any of this was going
Probably.
on.
You don't think so?
You think somebody would have said, though. look what
Families
your
are
daughter
just. The families were so disconnected.
It could be. It could be.
At least I'm just. I mean, you think back. I don't know enough with Pharaoh specifically, but
Maybe he just let his daughter do whatever she wanted.
right.
And maybe it was also too is that they're thinking that if they raised him as an Egyptian,
could help him.
could help him. You know what I'm saying? I don't know all I'm thinking there. All I know is that she took pity on him. She brought him into her house. Do not leave out the fact too, though, that Moses' sister was following along.
Keeping an eye on things.
Keep an eye on it. And when she saw this happen, she brought to the Pharaoh's daughter, "Hey, I know this lady who would nurse him for you."
A Hebrew woman.
A Hebrew
Well,
woman.
there's-
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, she gets on board with that. And so then the mom is able to see the child once again. But the main thing here is that the child was spared.
Yep.
And you can only look at it from the perspective of God had a plan for this child.
Yep. Big plans.
Big
say.
plans.
Yeah.
Very important.
I mean, when you get down to it, there's probably no bigger name when people talk, you know, when they, because it's always, what is it? It's always Moses and Jacob, you know. Whenever they're talking about him in the Bible, when they go back to the forefathers, it's always Jacob and Moses, you know. And it always cracks me up. Moses is like, that's the big one, you know.
I think like Old Testament characters in general.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
mean,
Moses.
nothing gets a whole lot bigger than Moses.
He did not want to be.
He did not.
Well, would you really? Well, never mind. We'll get
Nope,
to that.
no,
We'll-
yep.
Yeah,
Save
we'll get to that
Different
point.
podcast.
Okay, God. Yeah. Slow down. Don't jump too far ahead. God had a plan for this kid, and it's interesting because I just had a kid.
Yep.
It's like, what plans does God have for my kid that I don't even know about? And it's like, and God can take him at a very young age, teeny tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 months.
Well, that's what
And
isn't it your dad always says. Whenever he wants to do something, he starts with a baby.
Yeah, yeah. And lo and behold, we have Moses, who eventually is going to do some pretty impressive things for the Hebrew nation.
Facts.
Once you said he gets on board.
See, once he decides that, all right, I'll do it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so really what I want to do in this one is just set the stage. Okay, we've got this guy, Moses, who's fixing to come onto the scene, and he's fixing to do some very impressive things with the help of the Lord. I don't want to take that out there. Moses doesn't do anything. The Lord's helping him. He's going to be the leader that God uses.
Yeah.
So, hang with us, and we're going to start kind of just work through this. And there's a lot here to work through. Moses is a pretty good story.
Yeah.
Lots of details.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And we'll try to pick out the more exciting and
Yep.
the best ones, but just hang with us. We're going to have a lot of fun with this one.
Yeah.
But just,
Our editing team will get some special effects going. It'll be a whole
Yeah.
Your editing team will not be doing that.
They will. I'll place a call.
Your
But you-
editing team is not that great.
but you just can't take away from just what we've read here and looked at here that God's got a plan for everybody. And it can even start at a very young age.
Yep.
And if you're not open and looking for what he has for you, you're going to miss it.
Oh, yeah.
Now, sometimes God does seem to take a more central role in guiding. I mean, as you work through this story, you're going to see where God is stepping in and almost shoving Moses
Yeah.
in different directions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was not the most willing at first.
Yeah. And it's like, God's like, no, you're going to go this way. And he does.
Big old fingers just, nope, forward. Come on, buddy.
Yeah. But if you don't think God's got a plan for your life, then I think you're missing out.
Yeah.
And
Thanks.
I think God's got a plan for everybody.
Yes.
And I think you should be looking, praying, and seeing what it is that he wants you to do. And making sure that you're accomplishing the things that he wants you to.
Yep.
So anyway, look for what plan God's got for you and try to join in that plan.
Amen.
All right? All right, we'll see you next time.